You are listening to Hillary Topper on Air. And now, here's your host, Hillary Topper.
Welcome to the show. I'm really excited about today's guest because we're diving into a unique but critically important topic. Whether you're an Ironman triathlete, a marathon runner, or a long-distance swimmer, you spend a lot of time preparing your body and your mind for the challenges ahead. But have you put the same kind of preparation into planning for your future? Estate planning is a topic that many endurance athletes might overlook, but it can be just as important as your training plan. Our guest today is Deanna Eble, an attorney with the Russo Law Group. She specializes in estate planning, and what makes this conversation even better is that Deanna has a close connection to the endurance sports world. Her husband is an Ironman, and she's seen firsthand the unique needs and planning considerations of athletes in the field. So, Deanna, welcome to the show. Could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into estate planning?
I have actually been in estate planning for, 23 years now. I worked in a nursing home for 10 years while I was undergrad and law school because my mom got me that job as a young girl trying to just make some money while I was in school. And the admissions director said, I have this attorney that I've been referring to. He must need help now. And that's how I ended up in estate planning. But it is the perfect transition because I have seen things on both sides of it now, because I was working in the nursing home and seeing what was happening and how families were dealing with the situation. And so I could give a different perspective of things now that I'm helping them do the planning, because I understand where they're coming from and what has been going on in their world.
So today we're going to talk about triathlons and estate planning. And just recently, within the last week or so, or a few weeks actually, one of the triathletes was on the Escape to Alcatraz boat. He jumped off, and the next person just jumped off right after him and ended up landing on his head, which hurt his spinal cord, and now he's a paraplegic. Why? This is horrendous, and things like this happen time and time again. Could you talk about why it's so important to have your ducks in order before you even do a triathlon?
So one of the things we get phone calls all the time as estate planners with Hollywood's big picture. Oh, I have to have a will. I need a will. And, everybody has that vision that there's going to be this big meeting and, you're going to sit on these leather couches and hear how somebody left everything to the family pet. Well, that's great for Hollywood. In the real world, the thing that you need the most are power of attorney, healthcare proxy. Those are lifetime documents that give somebody permission to step in and handle the things that you would normally handle if you were physically or mentally competent to do it. But if you have any break in that physical or mental capacity, somebody needs to be able to step in and handle those affairs for you. And the best way to do it is to have a power of attorney for finance and healthcare proxy for medical decisions. If you don't have those documents in place, then in an emergency, there's a pecking order for a healthcare proxy, but it may not be the people that you want to make those decisions, and they may not be making the decisions that you wanted. And the alternative is a guardianship which is very costly. It's a court proceeding. It's time consuming. It's public record. There's a lot that goes into that. So I always tell people when they call me, your priority should be healthcare proxy, power of attorney, living will, HIPAA authorizations, because you want to make sure somebody, especially in the triathlete world with the example you're giving, you want to make sure that the family members have permission to talk to the doctors. That person may have been unconscious and not able to speak for themselves in that moment. And, you know, while there's a pecking order, is the pecking order the people that he or she wanted, you know, spouse first, then children? And there's always, I tell clients all the time, yes, it's spouse first, then children, but let's say it's children that are there and children are in the waiting room. What if there's no pecking order? It's not like age order. What if one of them doesn't agree with the decision the others are making? The doctors have to do every single thing out there to keep you alive and put you on all the machines, even if that's not what your wish is. So you need to have a voice and you need to be able to express yourself, even if you can't physically express yourself, by making sure that those documents are in place so that you're making sure the right person is making the decisions and the decisions that they are making are the ones you want. And that's why those are so important.
So I'm going to take a step back from this, and I'd love for you to explain to my audience what a guardianship means, what a living will means, what a healthcare proxy means. We take it so for granted,
Yeah,
but a lot of people don't really understand what it is.
I agree. So a power of attorney is a document that gives somebody the opportunity to step in and handle your financial matters, use your money for you. In the financial world, it lets them step in and make sure that, you know, your mortgage is getting paid, your rent is getting paid, and all of those things can be done if you physically can't make sure they're done yourself, or mentally you're not able to do that. That concept is the same in the healthcare world. The healthcare proxy is giving that same thought where you're naming somebody to talk to the doctors for you and make sure that the doctors know what your wishes are. Now, some attorneys combine the healthcare proxy and the living will. Our office keeps them separate on purpose. Healthcare proxy is just naming the parties who have permission to talk to the doctors on your behalf. Living will tells the parties that you're naming what your wishes are. Do you want to be resuscitated? Do you want to be on a heart pump? Do you want to be on a ventilator? How many doctors have to be confirming that you're in a permanent vegetative state, terminally ill, not going to live a meaningful life before big decisions like this are made? And we purposely separate them out so that the doctors are reading who they should be speaking to and speaking to them. And the living will is just telling the family, giving them the guidance, giving them the script as to what they should be saying. We also do HIPAA authorizations because, you know, the world gets very litigious lately, and we want to make sure that a doctor doesn't stop the family from getting medical information because the law says that without permission, a doctor doesn't have to release certain medical information. You want to make sure that the family can have, your family can have as much medical information as they need and not just the information at the emergency at hand, because the big picture may actually have a factor in what decisions are made. So altogether, those are very comprehensive medical and financial forms. But you really, that's your baseline. That's your foundation for everything else that you build off of.
So many people who are listening to this may be thinking, I'm too young to worry about this, or I'm healthy. I don't, and I'm very careful about how I act during a triathlon. And so, what would you say to these people, who don't see estate planning as a priority?
So I'm so glad that you said that, Hillary, because we even encourage parents to make sure that when kids are going off to college, they're 18 and you don't have the right to make decisions for them anymore. So at 18 on that college list, not only should it say extra long sheets and, bins to hold all their stuff, it should say healthcare proxy power of attorney, because parents don't have the right to make those decisions. So my advice would be, even the healthiest of triathlons, triathletes have had, I've seen issues. I have had that client who is 52 years old, drinking all the green shakes and everything like that, go out on a run and, a normal run just for training, and not come home, where his wife and kids are in the car driving around the neighborhood looking for him, only to find that he collapsed on somebody's front lawn. An ambulance was called and he didn't survive. And you and I have spoken a couple of times about the triathlete out in Smithpoint. My husband was at that race. You were at that race where he was racing and somebody was in the parking lot of the race. And while the bikes were going out, she didn't realize that there was a race and just like bowled over him. And he was in the hospital for months, and there was a huge recovery there. And so it doesn't matter how old you are. The best thing you can do is do it now when you're healthy and everything is good, because if you wait until you're not healthy, then one, it may be too late because an incident may have happened. Two, you may not have the capacity to do it anymore, and then you're in a guardianship. So you had asked me what a guardianship is. If somebody doesn't have these documents in place, the only one way for somebody to make decisions for them and have permission to do things for them is to get permission from the court and get appointed by the court to make those decisions. Just because you're married doesn't give somebody permission to step in and do those things for you. And so if you don't have these things in place now, then if it comes to a point where you need them and you didn't have them, it's the court appointing somebody, and most of the time it's a family member, but that doesn't mean it always is. If there's fighting or uncertainty about how somebody's going to be able to manage things for you, it could be a stranger. It could be the court appointing a complete stranger to step in and make your decisions.
It's terrible. It really is, so it really is super, super important to get those documents done. So talk to me a little bit about some of the common misconceptions or mistakes you've seen people make when it comes to estate planning.
The biggest misconception is that, oh, we're married, we could do anything. And I personally have gone to court for guardianships in 2 or 3 cases where it was husband and wife. And I mean, one of those cases brought the entire courtroom to tears, because it was a husband who had encouraged his wife. She had polyps in her nose, and he had encouraged her to go have them removed because she was sleeping on the recliner, and he felt like she wasn't getting enough rest. And she went in for a standard normal procedure to the doctor's office to have the polyps removed, and in the process had a stroke and never regained consciousness. And he was in the courtroom asking the judge to give him permission to make decisions for her, and was in tears because he has only missed being by her side in the nursing home twice. Once he didn't feel good, and the other time was the day he was in the courtroom. And when you've been married that long, I think they were married 55, 60 years, it's devastating for them to have to ask a judge. And he said to the judge, the whole reason why we didn't do this stuff in advance is because my wife refused. She always felt that because we were married, I'd always be able to do stuff for us. And then the reality that set in was he couldn't unilaterally move assets like the house or deal with her 401k, because all of those things required either a power of attorney or a guardianship. So,
oof, gives me the chills,
Yeah.
thinking about that. So when a triathlete or anybody else is going out there looking for an attorney or a firm to make sure their needs are understood, what should they look for in an attorney or a firm?
They really want somebody who has experience, somebody who has a track record for doing this kind of work. A general practitioner tends to, and I'm not saying anything bad, but a general practitioner tends to be a little bit more refined, and they don't always like to give all the power that an elder law attorney would give. So, for example, in my office, when we do a power of attorney, we often do a power of attorney with your permission, saying that there's gifting provisions that are unlimited, so that you can gift whatever amounts need to be gifted. A gift does not mean, hey, here's some money, go have the best shopping spree of your life. A gift could simply be, my spouse has 1 foot in a hospital, 1 foot in a nursing home. I have a house that we both own. I need to protect the value of that house, and I need to gift my share to my spouse. When you do a standard power of attorney, you're really limiting that transfer to $5,000, which on Long Island and pretty much all of New York, you're not going to be able to transfer a house, limiting it to $5,000 for the year. So you want to make sure that you're going to somebody that understands what options are out there as far as planning and dealing with your long-term care concerns, and gives you the tools to be able to conquer any problem that comes your way when it comes to those kinds of scenarios.
Also, one last question before we wrap it up. So, a lot of people don't want to think about this stuff. I mean, this is not stuff you want to think about. You don't want to think about dying. You don't want to think about having a critical injury or something happen, right? So, how do you get people to think about this?
So, I mean, in the triathlon world, my best analysis is you don't go out and do a triathlon without having done any type of training. You always make sure that you've gotten your runs in, and you've gotten your biking in, you've done some swimming, and you don't go out blind and just do a race, even a sprint, just to do it. You have some training, so especially my husband's done a couple of a number of half Ironmans and 1 full Ironman. Like, there's a process to making sure you're nourished throughout the race. You have the proper, you have the proper nutrition on you. Forget about making sure you eat it when you have to. And I think that that's the same translation for planning. You plan in anticipation that you may need it, but hope that you never do. So you're planning for the worst, you're expecting the best, and in doing that, you're always prepared for it. Just like in a race, if you over prepare a little bit, you're always ready in case, like, I mean, my husband's done many races where it has been insanely hot and there's no shade, and people are standing on their driveways with hoses spraying all of you down. And like, that's a godsend, and you need to know how to manage that. So you need to know how to manage, and your family needs to know how to manage your estate if and when they have to step in and do it. So while we don't like to deal with the issues of getting sick and having all of this actually be used, isn't it better to be prepared? So you want to be prepared for it, just like you prepare for your races.
Absolutely. That's a really good advice. Thank you. This has been such an insightful conversation. Could you share with our listeners how they can get in touch with you and also the Russo Law Group?
So I work with Russo Law Group. I am in the Islandia office and the Garden City office. You can call the office at 516-683-1717 and just ask for an appointment with me. Anytime you call, they'll look at my schedule. They'll make accommodations to fill you in with the schedule that I have. And we are at vjrussolaw.com. If you want to check out our website, there's a lot of great information there, and my bio is also there. Anytime you could give me a call and we could talk and discuss the possibility of you coming in to do some advanced planning so that you're prepared for the race of life the same way you're prepared for your races.
That's great. Thank you so much. One last thing. So I know that you have these coffee and conversations that take place. Could somebody just drop in and ask you a question at one of those types of events?
Absolutely. My partners and I, on a monthly basis, we've been alternating between Garden City and Islandia, but on a monthly basis, we have a coffee and conversation at 9 o'clock, usually on a Tuesday. In Islandia, it's on a Tuesday morning. And you could check out our calendar on our website to see when the next one is happening. And you come in and you just ask whatever questions you may have, so that we can answer those questions for you and have a little breakfast while you're at it.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise with our audience. And
Thank you, Hillary. And sooner or later, you'll get me out there.
this show was produced by Hillary Topper and sponsored by the Russo Law Group, Long Island's signature elder law, estate planning, and special needs law firm. For more information, visit vjrussolaw.com. And PlayTry, your multi-sport specialist for all your triathlon needs. They have so many opportunities, including franchising. If you love the sport of triathlon, check out playtry.com and learn more about opportunities, or if you want to shop there, check them out. They've got great prices and they've got amazing customer service.